If you're exhausted from working toward your goals, there's a reason. Now, if you're like me, you've been taught that success is something you chase, something you earn, something you build brick by brick through sheer effort and discipline. And you've probably gotten really good at it, setting goals, making plans, pushing yourself, checking off those boxes. But here's what nobody tells you. The harder you work towards your goals, the further you push them away. It's got nothing to do with how hard you work and everything to do with your starting point. Today, I'm going to show you why working toward keeps you stuck in survival mode and how to make that single shift that collapses time, effort, and resistance. It's the basics of quantum science or time jumping. Now, what I'm about to share with you is the difference between forcing momentum and becoming momentum. So let's go. Now, here's what most of us have been taught. You set a goal, you create a plan, you take action, you measure the progress, you adjust, and you keep going until you get to the end goal or you complete it. Now, on paper, that sounds really logical, but in real life, what it actually does is it creates a state of lack. Because every time you work towards something, you're actually affirming one thing to your nervous system. I don't have it yet. And your nervous system, well, it's going to take that really seriously. You see, when you're constantly focused on the gap between where you are now and where you want to be, your body interprets this as, do you know what? I'm not safe yet. I'm not there yet. Something is missing. Dangerous. So it keeps you in survival mode, in your fight or flight, freeze, hustle, push, grind, all of those things. You might think you're being productive, but your nervous thinks you're running away from a threat. And here's the kicker. The more you work towards something, the more you're actually reinforcing the identity of someone who doesn't have it yet. So you become that person who's always reaching, who's always striving, who's always just that one step away. You know, basic metaphysics states your world is a mirror, not a mold. It doesn't create you, it reflects you. So when your identity is locked into not yet, your reality keeps showing you not yet. Even when you hit some of your goals. You see, here's what actually happens. You achieve something that you've been working towards for months, maybe years, but instead of celebration, there's this quiet emptiness. A moment, a brief moment of relief, and then immediately, okay, what's next? For a lot of people, you don't even let your success land because your nervous system isn't calibrated for having. It's calibrated for chasing. Your identity has been so trained to work toward that when you finally arrive, you don't actually know how to stay there. So you pick up the next goal and start running again. And that's why people can achieve incredible success but still feel hollow or burnt out or things are not enough. They've been working toward their entire lives. And they've never actually learned how to live from. Now, let me give you an example. Let's say your goal is to build a thriving business. Most people will approach it something like this. Well, when I have 100 clients, I'll feel successful. When I hit 6 figures or 7 figures, I'll feel secure. When I'm fully booked, I'll relax. And so they work and they push. And they go again and again and again. But here's the problem. Their identity is still the person who doesn't have a thriving business yet. So even when they take action, the action that they're taking comes from a starting point of lack. You know, they might show up tentatively or take 3 times as long to get that thing done. Or they undercharge because they don't want to seem greedy. Or they second guess their offers, offer big discounts because deep down they don't actually believe that they're a person who has a thriving business. And I can tell you straight up, their audience can energetically feel it. Everything is energy, and that energy is information. When you're operating from, I don't have it yet, people pick up on that frequency. You can have the perfect offer, the perfect funnel, the perfect strategy, but if your identity is locked into working towards, your business will reflect that back to you. You'll work really hard, you'll get some results, but you'll always feel like you're pushing that boulder uphill. You're creating from the outside in instead of the inside out. How many times have you heard that before? All right, so what's the alternative? Well, it's a principle that Neville Goddard is really well known for. It's live from the end. Not work towards the end, not visualize the end, live from the end. What does that mean? Well, it means you don't become the person who has what you want after you get it. You become that person now. So the completed result feels natural now, in the present moment. Now, this isn't a mental exercise or a manifestation hack. This is your actual identity now. So the version of you who has a thriving business, they already exist. The version of you who's confident, clear, and got a fully booked calendar, well, they're not out in the future, they're right here, right now. And the moment you step into that identity, well, that's when everything changes, because now your actions don't come from lack, they come from fulfillment. You see, you're not chasing clients, you're serving the people who are naturally meant to work with you. Or you're not proving your worth, you're empowered in your own value. And this is where you start letting go of hope and step into knowingness. This is the faith that people talk about, having faith and belief in something that your eyes don't yet see. In the quantum field, you can have anything that you want right now. The only thing that is stopping you is your belief and faith that you can. So we start with your current identity, and what we do is we align it with your desires. Now, this is called identity alignment. You see, when your identity shifts, your reality reorganizes around it. And that's, to be honest, why I don't set SMART goals anymore. You see, I don't believe in the timed factor, not anymore. It'll take as long or as fast as you allow it to be created. So, how do you actually do this? Because I know what you're thinking. Look, this all sounds great, Terriane, but how do I just become the person who has what I want when my current, reality, the things, the circumstances around me are screaming the opposite? Well, here's the truth you need to hear. This shift doesn't happen through sheer willpower or positive thinking. It happens through embodiment. And embodiment requires 3 things most people skip. The first thing is you actually need to identify what's the exact identity you're currently operating from. Who are you right now? The one that's actually running the show that's causing all of these circumstances. Because, to be honest, most of us have no idea we're stuck in that working toward mode. We think we're being productive, we think we're being strategic or responsible, but we don't actually realize that our entire nervous system is locked down in an identity of lack. So the first thing we have to do is we have to have awareness of where we actually are. The second thing we need to do is we need to create safety around the new identity, because this is what most people won't tell you. Your nervous system will resist the shift. Now, that's not because it's trying to sabotage you or it's a bad person or it's a bad, aspect of yourself. It's because change, even if it's good change for the betterment of what we want, it feels unsafe at a biological level. We know we can survive what we've survived up until now, so that feels safe. Anything new, well, that's unsafe because we don't know we can survive it. Your body doesn't know the difference between becoming someone new or, say, abandoning the tribe. So if you try to shift your identity without regulating your nervous system first, you'll most likely self-sabotage yourself every time. And the third thing You need to practice making decisions from your new identity until it feels natural, even when there's no evidence to support your belief or trust or faith yet. Now, this is where most people quit. They'll try it for a day. They might even last a week. And if nothing changes immediately, they go back to what seems familiar. Or they'll create a crisis which automatically puts them back into autopilot mode again. So the thing to know is that your identity shifts. They don't work like light switches. They're not on-off buttons. They work like recalibration. You know, you're rewiring years, sometimes decades of conditioning. And the quickest way to do that is with support. You don't have to do it yourself. It's with accountability. It's with someone to help you see the blind spots that you can't see yourself. Now, this is exactly the work that we do inside the Superconscious Switch community. It's a free school community that we welcome everybody to come join us. We don't just talk about identity shifts in there. We walk you through those changes, sometimes on a daily basis, depending on the challenge. You know, there's live coaching, there's regular challenges, there's nervous system tools, and there's a community of people who are doing the exact same type of work as you. You know, it can be really tough to shift your identity when you're in isolation. You actually need people who can reflect back the version of you that you're becoming, not the version of you that you're leaving behind. So I want to just put out this invitation. If you're ready to stop working towards your life and actually start living from it, the link is in the description below. Come join us, because this is where the real shifts happen. Hope to see you in the community. Until then, I'll see you next week.